Well, when I first got there, I prepared a little shelter inside the tail section where the damage was. Where, you know, it was the least damage of all of them, but it was damaged pretty bad. No food, no water. We didn't have anything.
So it's 3 days before you're rescued?
Yeah, it was 3 days.
How'd they find you?
The second day, it was obvious to me we weren't going to be found, so I took a parachute, orange and white parachute, and tied it around my chest, and then tied another orange and white parachute to the tail section, so in case it did clear up, it could be spotted, because by that time, the snow and everything, it was kind of hard to see the airplane. And I went down the mountain. The report from the rescue airplane finally spotted me. I was down 500-700 feet down the side of the mountain when I got out of the clouds. I thought that would be a good place to hold that parachute, and when I first let it go, it almost jerked me off the side of I was sitting on a cliff. So I reeled it back in and then jammed myself in between a couple of boulders and then tied it around my chest and let it go. And then it was flagging itself for probably a couple of hours. And now it turns into a Sunday school lesson real quick. And I decided it's probably a good place to stay until somebody spotted it. And if I froze in, at least we'd have a flag blowing out there. And after a couple of hours, C-130 came. Then before the C-130 showed up, I had a side of my head was coated nice, and I started knocking it off, and then I decided that was a waste of time. Yeah. So I was totally coated nice when the C-130 drove by and spotted the parachute. He spotted the parachute, so I went back to the wreck. And we were picked up the next day. There were 3 people alive, but they were all unconscious and frozen pretty solid, and me. And I had a talk with a Navy flight surgeon who was in a rescue group, and he asked me, what are you going to do now that you're going to get out of the Air Force? And I said, I'm not going to get out of the Air Force, I'm a fighter pilot. And he said, oh no, not. He said, as soon as they find out that you've been unconscious, you're going to be grounded. And so I grounded over that for a little while we were flying down to Libya. And when we landed, it seems like everybody at that Air Force base was waiting for us. And we had these bodies that were all unconscious, and then all the generals and colonels came on to make, good side for the movies. And I crawled up in the airplane in the cockpit and hid in the co-pilot seat, and they got everybody out, and finally a general walked in, and he said, is that everybody? And I hollered, that's all of them. They all convoyed off the hospital.
So did they end up surviving?
Sir?
Did the 3 end up surviving?
Yeah, they were all medically retired.